It was supposed to be just another day, Valentine's Day, right? But trust me, for me, it turned into a whole different kind of special. And by the time the night ended, I knew I'd never look at him or love the same way again. It started like any other Valentine's Day with me getting all the texts and messages from people who had that gushy, lovey-dovey vibe. Everyone on Instagram was posting their roses, fancy dinners, cute couple selfies, and honestly, I was trying hard to ignore it all. But deep down, I felt a sting. Maybe because I was sitting there alone in my apartment, wondering what happened to all the promises he made. What happened to us? Zach, that was his name, my boyfriend for 3 years, and for a while I thought he was it, the one, but, well, life doesn't play out like it does in the movies. I spent the morning pretending to care about the flowers I didn't get, the chocolates I didn't receive, and the endless couple stories everyone kept posting. But it wasn't just the gifts I was upset about. It was that something didn't feel right. It had been months since Zach had really given me his attention. I could feel it. He was distant. I thought I was imagining things at first, but something felt off in every little thing he did. The way he avoided eye contact, his distracted responses when I talked to him, the sudden long work nights that turned into I'm too tired when I tried to make plans. But Valentine's Day, that was the tipping point. It wasn't just another night for me. It wasn't just another dinner. It was supposed to be our night, the one where we'd go to our favorite place, maybe try something new and reconnect. At least that's what I was hoping for. But what I got instead was him telling me he had to work late with that excuse I'd heard a million times before. Something inside me snapped. I didn't call him, I didn't cry, I didn't beg, I just went quiet. I stared at the phone, watching him text me that he was sorry, but there was just too much going on. And I realized at that exact moment that there was someone else. There had to be. This sneaky little thought popped in my head, the one that told me, he's cheating on me. I wasn't wrong either, but I didn't know that yet. I didn't plan on revenge. I didn't even know what I was going to do. But something deep inside told me to wait until the right moment. And that night, on Valentine's Day of all days, I got it. On 10 p.m., I was scrolling through my phone when I saw it, a photo. I didn't know why I clicked on it. I didn't mean to, but somehow my fingers tapped it open. I could feel my heart sinking before I even saw the picture clearly. It was Zach. But it wasn't just him. There was another woman in the picture. His arm was around her waist and she was laughing. It wasn't like a regular photo. It was taken at our restaurant. The place we always went to on special nights, the place where he said he wanted to marry me someday. But this wasn't me in the picture. This wasn't our night. I froze. And that's when the anger started building up in me. But it wasn't a calm anger like the kind that comes from betrayal and hurt. It was a hot, burning anger, the kind that made my head spin. I was seeing red. I didn't know what to do with that picture. I didn't even know if I should confront him right then and there, or if I should just let it go. But I wasn't the type of person to sit back and let something like this slide. No way. Not this time. I wasn't going to let him get away with it. There was a small voice in my head telling me to be the bigger person, that forgiveness was the way to go. But then there was this louder voice, the one that had been quieted for so long, that screamed, he deserves to feel the pain he's put you through. And so I decided. Revenge was coming, and it was going to be sweet. But not in the way he thought. I knew Zach would be back soon. He had always been predictable in that way. He'd return late, pretend nothing was wrong, and make up some story about how his work meeting ran late or whatever lame excuse he had, and I'd always believed him. But not tonight. I decided to do something he wouldn't expect, something bold, something unforgettable. I called my friend Carly. She was always the one who had my back, no questions asked. Carly, you won't believe this, I said when she picked up the phone. What's up? She asked, her voice sleepy but curious. I think Zach's cheating on me, I said flatly. There was silence on the other end, but I could hear her rustling on her bed. Are you serious? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've got a picture. It's from tonight, and it's him at our spot with someone else. Damn, she said, clearly shocked. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I replied, pacing around my living room. But I have an idea. That's when I laid it all out for her. I wanted to send him a message, a big one that he wouldn't ever forget. So I told Carly I was going to be that girl, the one who gives a man a taste of his own medicine, a woman he would never forget. Carly was all in, of course. She suggested I pull out all the stops and make sure Zach suffered. She wasn't a fan of men who cheated either, and I could hear the fire in her voice. Get him where it hurts the most. I thought for a second and then I got it. I had the perfect idea. The only problem was, I wasn't sure how much I was willing to lose in the process. The plan wasn't just to confront him. No, it was more than that. I was going to make him watch. I was going to make him regret everything he'd ever done. He thought he could play me? Thought I wouldn't notice? Well, I was about to show him that no one messes with Diana and gets away with it. It was around 11 a.m. when I started setting things into motion. Zach had texted me again, apologizing for being late and saying he'd be home soon. I didn't reply. Instead, I grabbed a glass of wine, took a deep breath, and called a few more people. People who would help me execute this little revenge mission. It wasn't just about making him jealous or showing him that I could move on. No, this was about getting him to realize exactly what he'd lost. And I wasn't going to let him get away with it. The plan was simple. I was going to set up a night to remember, a night that would be impossible for him to erase. I called a couple of places, made a few arrangements, and then, the part I hadn't figured out yet, I needed to get his reaction. Because if he was the man I thought he was, this night was going to hit him where it hurts. What I hadn't expected was how much I would enjoy the whole thing, how empowering it would feel to be in control of my own narrative. I was no longer the passive woman waiting for a man's validation. I was in charge. I was ready to make sure he remembered me. It was a sick, twisted thrill, honestly, and in a weird way, I think I needed it. The plan was set. Now, all I had to do was wait for Zach to come home. The hours dragged on, and the anxiety in my chest kept building. Every little noise I heard outside my apartment made me jump. Would he figure out something was off when he walked in? Would he notice that I was colder than usual? Or would I catch him in his own lies and watch him squirm? By the time I heard the door open, I had already poured myself a glass of wine, just to calm my nerves, but nothing about the moment felt calm. The tension in the air was thick, almost suffocating. "Hey," Zach said as he stepped inside, his tone casual, as if he hadn't just betrayed me in the worst way possible. I didn't look up from my glass. "Hi," I replied, my voice flat. The moment felt surreal, like I was in a movie, and I was ready for the show to start. He hung his coat up, tossed his keys on the counter, and then tried to kiss me on the cheek, but I turned away. It wasn't like me to be cold like this, but I had to play my part. I needed him to feel uncomfortable, needed him to feel something. He paused, looking at me for a moment, his brow furrowing. "What's up with you?" "Nothing," I said, taking a slow sip of my wine, just thinking. "About what?" His voice sounded a little more concerned now. "About how you spent Valentine's Day," I said, my voice cold but controlled. I hadn't planned to confront him yet, not this soon, but something in me couldn't hold it back any longer. He needed to know I wasn't an idiot. Zach froze. I could see the color drain from his face as he processed what I'd just said. His eyes darted between me and the door, like he was trying to figure out if I knew everything. "What do you mean? Do I really have to explain?" I set my glass down, standing up now, my voice growing steadier with each word. "The picture you sent me was pretty self-explanatory, don't you think?" He looked confused for a second, and then his face twisted with realization. His mouth opened, but no words came out. I watched him squirm, feeling this mix of disgust and satisfaction. I didn't want to watch him beg, though. That wasn't the point. I needed him to feel the weight of what he had done. "Who is she?" I asked, my voice sharp. "The woman in that picture." "Diana." Don't lie to me," I interrupted. I saw it with my own eyes. He rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous gesture that I'd seen 1,000 times before. I knew he was trying to figure out how to weasel his way out of this, how to make it sound like it was all a misunderstanding. But I wasn't having it. "Answer me honestly, Zach. I said, stepping closer. Is she the reason you've been pulling away from me? Is she the reason you've been making up all these excuses? He swallowed hard, avoiding eye contact, which only confirmed my suspicions. I didn't mean for it to happen, Diana, he muttered, his voice filled with guilt, but not nearly enough for me to feel sorry for him. I don't know what happened. Save it, I snapped. I don't want to hear it. I'm done being the fool, Zach. And then, just as I thought he was about to beg for forgiveness, I dropped the bomb. I know everything, I said. I know about the woman. I know you've been seeing her for weeks. You think I haven't noticed how you've been slipping away from me? But here's the thing, Zach. I'm done. His eyes widened. Wait, what? Here's the thing, I continued, slowly walking toward him. I'm not just angry at you, I'm angry at myself. Angry for not seeing it sooner, for putting up with your lies. And you know what? I'm gonna make sure you never forget what it feels like to mess with me. Zach blinked, his face going pale as I walked past him, heading for my phone. I dialed Carly's number without even thinking twice. She answered on the second ring. Hey, it's time, I said, the words coming out more calmly than I expected. I need you to help me pull this off. Carly's voice was low but excited. Got it. I'll be there in 15. I ended the call and turned to face Zach. He was standing still, his jaw clenched, probably trying to process everything that was happening, but honestly, I wasn't interested in hearing his side of things anymore. The damage was done, he had crossed a line, and I was about to make sure he'd never cross it again. I'm not gonna let you get away with this, Zach, I said slowly, letting the weight of my words sink in. You're gonna feel the sting of this betrayal, and you're gonna remember it for the rest of your life. Early arrived with everything I needed. She didn't ask questions, didn't try to talk me out of it. She knew how deep the betrayal cut, and she was ready to help me make him regret every choice he had made. I had made arrangements at a private venue, the kind that Zach would never expect to be involved in this kind of drama. I was gonna drag him through a nightmare, and he wasn't even gonna know what hit him. By the time Zach realized what was happening, it was too late. I wasn't the girl he thought I was anymore. I wasn't the girl who would sit back, cry, and wait for him to apologize. I wasn't the girl who would let him get away with it. I wasn't just going to tell him how much he had hurt me. No. I was going to show him. Make him feel it. When we arrived at the venue, Zach's confusion grew. His face turned white as he looked around, not understanding why he was being led into a room that was set up for something entirely different than what he'd imagined. Diana, he said, his voice laced with panic. What is this? Why are we here? Shut up, I said, not looking at him. I could feel the power surging through me now. I'm the one in control tonight. You'll listen to me and you'll watch, and when it's over, you'll realize exactly how it feels to betray someone who loved you. The room was dimly lit, the music low, the atmosphere set to make everything feel like it was on the edge of breaking. This wasn't just about making him feel guilty. This was about me feeling empowered, like I was reclaiming everything he had taken from me. It wasn't just for him, though. It was for me. The final confrontation was everything I had imagined. Zach tried to beg, tried to explain himself, but I wasn't listening anymore. The game had changed. He wasn't the one in control, and I wasn't the one who was going to walk away with a broken heart. When it was over, when the whole event had played out, I watched him stand there, speechless, staring at the mess we were both now part of. The scene was chaotic, and in that chaos, I found peace. The question lingered in the air long after everything had ended. Was it worth it? I didn't know the answer, but in that moment, I didn't care.